Hey everyone, hope you're well. It's Rich here from Bamboo. Here to walk you through the next episode of the Growth Marketplace channel. In this episode, I wanted to actually share some videos of my recent experience doing direct sales actually at one of our suppliers. So to give you some more context on what Bamboo does, we connect restaurants with their local wholesale food suppliers. You can imagine we're basically the Instacart for restaurants. So we pick up supplies from their local wholesalers and deliver it to their doors, to their door. So basically, last weekend, I went directly to the suppliers where restaurant owners and managers are physically picking up supplies themselves and putting it in their vehicles, their cars, their vans, their trucks, whatever, and then taking it back to their restaurants. And I basically witnessed this firsthand last year when I saw restaurant owners were actually depositing food waste to a local food shelter that I was working in. And I started digging more into the problem. I realized that not only are restaurant owners manually going down to a local supplier, buying things, standing in queues for hours upon end, and then putting it in their cars, they're also the ones then ironically donating that food to local food shelters because they bought too much and they screwed up basically. So I'm going to actually show you some videos now of my experience handing out flyers and leaflets at the local wholesalers. And this was an amazing experience. So apologies if I come across very excited in these videos. It was just massively eye-opening and was very, very excited to realize that I think we're on something pretty big here. So let me just go back to that first video and I'll play it for you. Hey everyone again, it's Rich here from Bamboo. We're a marketplace which is essentially connecting restaurants with their existing suppliers and offering delivery. I'm actually here out on the road today as part of our next episode of the Growth Hacking series to basically hand out flyers for Bamboo and to also give out a business card to potential restaurant owners and those that might want to use our service and really get a feel for basically whether this is something interesting to them. So I'll just show you where I am, but this is the car park of Gordon Food Service. This is one of our suppliers and basically out here trying to hustle and see what happens. So I'll check back in. I got my Bamboo t-shirt made and excited to basically see if this is useful, if Bamboo is going to help some customers, automate some of their operations. It's the weekend, it's Sunday afternoon. Curious why people are spending their Sunday afternoons picking up supplies themselves for their restaurants rather than just getting it delivered. And hopefully that's what we can help solve for them. So wish me luck and let's see how it goes. There we go. So that was the first part of the day. I went to one of our suppliers. I dug around to see if that's actually, a place where our potential customers are. And it was pretty interesting. I was actually proven wrong. So it was a good job I went out there and checked it out. So that was pretty interesting. Spoke to a few different people. It's kind of weird going around a supermarket essentially. To give you some context, what these places look like inside, and I'll send a video. They're just like a giant supermarket, but everything's bulk, everything's wholesale, so everything's giant container sizes, etc. And it's weird, going around asking people inside a supermarket, "Hey, do you work in a restaurant? Do you own a restaurant?" Whilst trying to hide from the actual staff, because I'm essentially trying to give them the option of shopping elsewhere as well. So really interesting experience. Basically, everyone I spoke to didn't own restaurants. I think that a lot of people come here who are families or they have they want wholesale discounts. And I'll cut it there. So yeah, long story short, basically I realized that particular supplier I went to didn't actually have restaurant owners there. So I thought the demand side would be there. I thought the demand side would pick up there. But what's actually happening is that consumers are hacking these wholesalers to pick up their supplies or their family supplies to save money basically. So they either have set up a business account and they're able to get discounts or whatever else is going on. But it was actually great learning for me that, where I thought my actual demands weren't actually where my demands were, and actually getting out on the road helped me learn about exactly what people were doing and where they were. I basically then realized that there's one of our suppliers called Restaurant Depot, and I was like pretty sure that that was where for sure our demand would be, and I wanted to go there and actually see if that was true or not. And this was a hugely eye-opening experience for me. So I'm just going to go for a couple of videos here, and you can actually see the first video I'll probably play is inside our supplier. You can see here just how much, this is like a giant supermarket. To give you some context, like when you go to a supermarket, you have a little shopping trolley. Look at the size of these trolleys that these poor restaurant owners and workers are pushing around. And this is actually a queue. This queue here goes 50 meters around the corner, and people are waiting here for hours upon end. And if you zoom in, you'll just see like boxes basically. And these people, they order the same thing every week. These people do the same thing every single week. For me, this is mind-blowing and something I want to solve. I'll also quickly show you a video here. Okay guys, so here we are in Restaurant Depot, and the problem is unbelievably big. When you're in the car park here, and you see all these people coming and going, buying their restaurant deliveries for the week, you really start to see what the problem is. I'm just going to show you the actual queue to buy food. You can see straight through there. I'm going to do a little walkthrough. So I'll pause it there, but basically what I was trying to highlight there was like, if you think about like 100 years time, or even like 10 years time or 50 years time, will the problem that you're trying to solve exist? Does that make any sense? This is when I really think like, holy shit, like this shouldn't exist. Like this really is a big problem. Queues and queues of people. When I went in, it was overwhelming. Like I couldn't even actually get through the shop because so many people were queuing. And I just personally think that queuing for something that you buy every single week, restaurant menus change like once or twice a year maximum, but you're going there every single time. It just blew my mind. And I guess the point in this video about growth hacking is you should really validate that you're after a problem. Like I've become more and more passionate about this problem because I get to see and feel it. I'm angry and frustrated that I get to see these poor restaurant owners and families spending their Sunday afternoons queuing, and it aggravates me a lot, and I want to solve that problem for them. So definitely recommend getting out there and actually exploring what the problems are. So just play a couple more videos. So this was actually quite funny. What my strategy was basically I would wait outside the main entrance, and I would follow people to their car to give them a leaflet and talk to them. So basically, people are coming out of Restaurant Depot with huge trolleys of things. You just see there the queue and everyone inside paying out. And then I'm following them to their cars to basically hand out the leaflet and to introduce myself and what we're doing. And it seems to be working really, really well. So it was pretty hilarious. I was basically just following people around and capturing at them at the very moment they're in the most pain. It sounds sadistic, but it's true. It's like I was following them to the moment where they've spent hours now in the shop, they've picked up the groceries, they've gone through the checkout experience, and just when they've almost, dealt with that thing, they have to then unload it all into their car. And these people were sweating profusely, right? And I come along and I say, hey, here's a leaflet. We are basically trying to solve your problems and to pick up this for you so you don't have to do it constantly. I don't know where I heard that. It was probably in I think it was a Jason Calacanis podcast a while ago. It was an Australian company, or maybe it was I can't remember. It was a company where it was a storage company, I believe, a moving company for people that was moving apartments, moving houses. And they would go up to people who had rented a self-drive van, who had loaded all the stuff into their cars. And it was like they captured at the very specific moment they felt the most pain, and introduced them as a business and said, hey, guys, what are you doing? Like, do you know if you used Clutter? That's it, Clutter. Clutter did this. Clutter basically are the ones that come and pick up all your stuff. They put it into storage and they move it to your new place if you need. And Clutter's strategy in the early days was to like find that very specific moment where you were in the most pain, swoop in and say, hey, here's how we can help. And I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to go back and back and back to this specific place until I get a customer, because I know there's a big problem here. And I think it just has to take me practicing my sales pitch, me practicing and emphasizing what the value proposition is, and also tweaking the value proposition. When I was doing these pitches in person, in my brain, whilst I was speaking, I realized that my pitch is bad. Like I've got work to do. The things I was saying were not correct. Like as I was seeing their reactions and feeling their emotions, I was like, I'm on the wrong path. I need to pivot that. When I talk about pivot, I'm talking about like pricing models. I'm talking about promotions. I'm talking about how I explain who we are and what we do. The real value add of Bamboo. So let me jump into another video. So again, this lady here, look at this. I mean, Jesus Christ, you've got a giant trolley of groceries. And I mean, I don't know how, one thing I learned is that these people have actually bought vehicles, very expensive vehicles. This vehicle here probably costs like 60 grand, right? They bought like a 60 grand truck because they have to get the groceries every single week for their restaurant to sell. And it's unbelievable. And actually, this guy works in Restaurant Diva. He's having to help them. Okay, crazy, blows my mind. What else can I show you? So, hey guys, it's Rich here again. Oh, yeah. I think this is when I was very it's like 85 degrees out here, and I really was sweating my ass off in Miami, and that was unbelievable. When you basically are building a marketplace and you have this fear inside you of, is what I'm actually building useful? Will people care about it? What will my customers think? And I'm really enjoying the experience of actually speaking to customers. So I just basically walked around the parking lot and actually inside Restaurant Depot to about 40 different restaurant owners. And I'm just like in shock that people actually do this. So poor guy spending their Sunday afternoons like sweating profusely, loading into their vehicles. They've actually had to buy cars and these massive trucks just to do this. So the cost to an actual restaurant is humongous. Like they have these massive SUVs, these massive trucks basically to actually pick up their deliveries every week. And I had a couple of people who were so interested, they kept coming back to me in the parking lot to basically say like, hey, I just want to ask one more question. Like, how does this work? How do I do this? What's the pricing like? How much? What's the minimum spend? And the questions that they asked. I'm going to pause there. And that's such a critical point. Was I was nervous, right? I was really, really nervous about how do I pitch this to random people, basically on the street. And there's that I realized that probably the biggest blocker to getting product market fit in any company is actually how much guts you have to go out and actually speak to customers. And I really think that if you can just pluck up the courage to not only speak to customers, but just stand there and listen and absorb what they're saying, I think the chance of success is much, much higher. You have to have empathy for who you're trying to pitch to. And maybe your learnings is that actually you're on the wrong track. Like you're pitching to the wrong person, or your idea is bad, or you've got to pivot, whatever. But that couple of hours that I spent speaking one-on-one with customers, that fear and adrenaline that was rushing through my heart was critical. I walked away from that experience 10x more knowledgeable about this problem statement than I was before. And the questions I got asked by this one guy, he literally ran to me when I gave him the first leaf, and he was like, oh, wait, you actually serve this other supplier. I use that other supplier. And the look of excitement in his eyes and passion that he was like, holy shit, wait, you actually, you don't just do this supplier, you do that supplier? I was like, damn, marketplaces add value. That realization when the customer's like, holy shit, I can actually get everything in one place, immediately amplifies how marketplaces are so valuable to customers. And again, added validation. Now, of course, this is business to business. I basically came away from that experience and I was like, I have about 400 things I have to do. I have to update my landing page because all the copy's wrong. I'm wording it in the wrong way. my flyers are saying free delivery, but that's just misleading because actually what I'm doing is I'm not adding a markup necessarily from day one on the products. We normally do charge a delivery fee, but free delivery is like a promotion. And every time I kept getting asked these questions from the demand side, I was like, holy shit, like, how do I answer this? One person, I said we have like a 5% margin. The other person, I said it was free. Like, my messaging was super confusing. And now I've spent the last week going back and really thinking about that. And was like, I need to really think hard about that. Like, what is the pricing model? What is the business model? And yeah, like super a great experience, honestly. So let me just see. So valuable because I learned there's a few nuances that I really need to figure out. And also when I was pitching back to them, like the value prop, the pricing model, I need to go away and think about that a bit better. What's also quite funny is that we haven't even got a website that's working yet. This was like pure MVP. So this is a critical point, right? So I was getting very anxious about not launching yet. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go out there and actually pitch an MVP. And the MVP was actually broken. So we had a Shopify store, it doesn't even work. You can't even actually get through to the checkout. But I accelerated my learnings and everything by probably about a month by just going out and actually speaking to customers. And it sounds very like Y Combinator-esque where, to speak to customers, launch early. I totally agree with that because what I realized what I should have done is, if I can go back in time, my MVP 3 months ago should have been that piece of paper flyer that I put together. And I should have just gone and spoken to restaurants with a piece of paper with my hypothesis as a promotion and saying, hey, does this sound interesting to you? Hey, do you think this is cool? Hey, would you buy this? And just speaking to the customer. And I think a lot of the times we as founders make the mistake of actually trying to jump 10 steps ahead before actually just really figuring out what is it you're trying to solve and who is it you're trying to solve a problem for. So yeah, anyone that's like super early stages, definitely just pick up the phone, send that email, go to the place in person. You've got to validate your idea. Okay, and the next one I'll show you is this the one? So I don't know that one. This one. Hey again, everyone. It's Rich. Just actually ate at a restaurant here around Miami. I decided that I would try and do a different approach to trying to get into restaurants on board. And the hypothesis is that when I actually eat at restaurants, I can build a relationship with the restaurant and hand out the leaflet and business card to them. So let's see how it works. But I had a nice chat with the waitress, and I just asked her to hand the leaflet to her manager and explained and gave her a good tip. So this is interesting because the CAC is essentially like a meal, right? If I just go to different restaurants around the area, then it cost me $20 basically. That's a pretty low cost of acquisition. So let's see what happens. As many experiments and tests as possible. Hey, so let's see. So on the way back from the supplier, I decided I was actually hungry. I was like, I need to get some food. I'm not going to go to like a fast food joint. I'm going to actually go to a restaurant because my restaurants are my customers. And I had this idea that was I could use that as an opportunity to pitch to my potential customers whilst posing as a client as well. So it's like a win-win in many ways where I'm sitting down, having food, paying for a meal, but I'm also able to like hand over a leaflet, explain a little about the business. And then, hopefully in the case that they're interested, the CAC's super low, right? Like for any B2B business, if your CAC is like a meal, which is like 20 or $30, that's a really low CAC. I think that obviously the challenges of this approach is that it's not super scalable. But what if, for example, we had 10 employees and I gave the entire team vouchers to basically spend $20 per night, has to be a new restaurant, and they basically pitch every single day for us the business and the value prop. That's actually pretty scalable because within the space of a year, you've potentially attacked 300 restaurants, which is a pretty good approach if also you have a team. So that was kind of my hypothesis, and now honestly, I'm waiting to see what happened. I think that my pitch wasn't perfect. I'm going to go back again tomorrow morning, actually, to try and pitch to more restaurants. I've edited the copy on the website now. I've edited the actual Shopify MVP. It's now working. You can actually buy. So let's see what happens. This is obviously nerve-wracking because you want to get customers, you want to move, you want to make progress. But this is critical, right? This is understanding the customers, and I hope this has been useful in showing you, that you've got to get out there and actually just like basically try and see what happens. So anyway, thanks very much, and see you again soon.